at the moment. But up next, we're going to be in conversation with Tracy Lamb, who was originally the bass player with Girlschool before joining Rock Goddess, who reformed in 2013. I caught up with Tracy a couple of months ago, and this is how the conversation went. Tracy Lamb, welcome to Castle Radio FM here in southern Spain. How are you?
Hello there. Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm excellent, thanks. So, you moved over to Spain a while ago, so you're just up the coast from us in Torrox.
Well, yeah, I moved initially to Torres, but now I'm in Vélez, Malaga, just a few miles up the road.
Okay, cool. When did you move over to Spain?
I moved over 6 years in August. It was unrelated to music, actually, because I had another career and still do a little bit of that. And I was a fitness professional, and I used to teach Pilates and aerobics and Zumba. And a friend of mine who's already living here asked if I would be interested in opening a business with her, opening a gym in Lurker. So that was what we did.
And you like it so much here, you decided to hell with England, you're never going back.
Yeah, well, I did start to actually get involved in the music scene around this area and met some really, good musicians, and there was lots of jam sessions. And the difference with here and the UK is that it's difficult to play. It's difficult to actually play in the UK unless you are in a name band. Whereas, here you can just go anywhere and just any jam session and just pick up the bass or play the drums or whatever, guitar, and just join in. And I really enjoyed that. And so I met some really cool people. So I decided to stay.
Before we talk about your history with Rock Goddess and Girlschool, you were telling me off air that you also opened up a music venue, a bar that became a music venue. Is that right?
Yes, I did. After the gym business, I decided to open a bar, and I turned it into a music venue where I used to promote bands, and it was all sort of music based. It was a bit like the Hard Rock Cafe, and I called it the Tabla Rock Cafe. And I did that for 2 years.
Okay, so what made you take up the bass, and when did you actually start playing?
I started playing when I was 13. I was at school with Jodie, the singer, guitarist of Rock Goddess. And she invited me down to her father's rehearsal studios one day after school and said that her younger sister would be there as well. So I really had no idea that I was going to play an instrument that day until, I got into the rehearsal room, and there was Julie playing the drums, and Jodie was on keyboards at the time, before guitar. And, Jodie and Julie's father said to me, would you like to play with the girls? And I said, well, what do I do? And he said, well, here's a bass. And, and I said, okay, I'll have a go. I'll have a try. And but I was only playing with one hand at that time. I wasn't using my left hand at all. I was just using the open strings with one hand, and I really enjoyed it. And then I said, well, what do I do next? I'd like to use the other hand. I've seen on television that guitarists and bass players use both hands. So then it just went from there, really. We invited our school friends down. We were playing punk songs like Pretty Vacant, Sex Pistols, and old classics like Tobacco Road, and it was great.
So did you go away and get some lessons, or are you totally self-taught?
Well, no, because Jodie and Julie's father had the rehearsal studio. He was a musician before, in the 60s, 50s and 60s. So he taught us all to play. I later then taught myself to play guitar, so it's quite, handy to be able to play, 6-string as well. But no, he taught us all from scratch, and it took us about 3 years till we were really, really good. And then I think Jodie and I were 16 when we started to gig, and Julie was only 12, because I forgot to mention Julie was 4 years younger than us. It was a very exciting time because there were bands, quite famous bands rehearsing at the studio where we were, like the Stranglers, and they just couldn't believe that we were 3 young girls, and they used to listen outside. And then when we came out, they hid behind all the equipment because they couldn't believe that we were 3 girls just, so young.
Cool. And what was the first gig you played with Rock Goddess?
The first gig in Clapham in London, and it was the 101 Club. And it was absolutely heaving because we managed, John the manager, Jodie and Julie's father, managed to get a picture of us on like a local programme on the television, and it was just absolutely wound. And then from that gig we went on to play a residency at the Marquee, and then that went on to the Reading Festival where we actually got signed to A&M Records. But there was a few other companies that were interested, and we did do a few demos like for CBS and I think Jeff and another one, but we ended up signing to A&M.
Cool. Well, it's about time we played a song for everybody. What do you suggest we play today?
Well, I'd like to play a Rock Goddess track. We're not actually doing this track live yet until maybe later on, but it's my favourite one and it's called So Much Love.
Well, welcome back, Tracy. That's a great song.
Yeah, I really love that one. It's a classic.
And from Rock Goddess, you got yourself into Girlschool. How did that come about?
Well, Denise, we were always friends with Girlschool. I mean, they came to one of our earlier gigs when we were, sort of 16 and 12. And we became good friends because they were from the same area in London, South London. And after I'd left Rock Goddess, I got a call from Denise asking me if I would go to Israel with them to play, a batch of gigs in Israel because Gil, the bass player at the time, had her sister was getting married. So this wasn't when I actually joined, but this was when I decked for Gil, and they wanted me to join. But I was doing another project at the time, which was my band in between Rock Goddess. But it wasn't until actually 2 years later that I actually joined because we were always in touch, and Gil left. When I was asked to join, Kelly had already left and was replaced by Chris Bonacci, excellent guitarist from Australia. So the lineup was Kim McAuliffe and Denise Dufour, Chris Bonacci and myself. And I was in that lineup for 5 years, going on 6. And then we split up and then got back together. But this time was when Kelly rejoined. So this was in 93. So I was actually in 2 lineups in Girlschool.
Okay, and as my memory serves, you went out on tour with Motorhead several times, and you supported Rainbow on the Between the Eyes tour as well.
Yeah, the Rainbow tour was just before I joined, unfortunately. But we did do several tours with Motorhead and several festivals with like Saxon and Black Sabbath in Russia. And we also did a tour with Wishbone Ash, Blue Oyster Cult. Oh, so many. I can't even think right now.
At the time, there was the so-called new wave of heavy metal
Yes.
going on.
That actually started when I first was in Rock Goddess. We're talking, very early 80s, late 70s, early 80s.
And how did it feel being in a male-dominated industry and rock as well, in a band full of females in that sort of situation?
It was great because we were a novelty, and there wasn't we were the only, I speak for Girlschool as well, Rock Goddess and Girlschool. We were the only 2 British heavy metal girl bands, and there's never been any since from the UK. So, we had so much respect from other musicians, and they really genuinely wanted us to do well and supported us. It was nice.
Fantastic. And so now you've gone full circle, and you're back with Rock Goddess again.
Yeah, it was May last year. Jodie tracked me down here in Spain, and she still had a number for me. Because Jodie and I had sort of kept in touch over the years. I hadn't seen Julie, the drummer, for 25 years. And when she got in touch, I thought, well, God, I think it might be what I've been dreaming about, which was the reformation of the original lineup. And it was.
So what are you doing with the guys now, if I can call you guys?
Yeah, no problem.
So you told me earlier that you've been doing some rehearsing and stuff?
Yeah, well, obviously there's a bit of distance between us, so we're not going to let that stop us. We're 70% through recording our Reformation album called Unfinished Business. All the bass tracks, backing, the rhythm guitars and drums are already done. Jodie's doing the vocals at the moment. I've been over recently to rehearse for our live set because we are going to start to perform live sort of end of April, May. So I've got one more trip in 3 or 4 weeks' time, because Jodie between now and then is doing the vocals and the lead guitar. And when I go back, it's the final rehearsals for the live set, and we're doing a mixture of, quite a few songs off the new album and also some archive songs from the first 2 albums.
Well, is any chance of you bringing the band over here to Spain to play?
Well, we've been talking about that actually. I mean, obviously later on, once we start touring, when the album's released, we'll be doing all over Europe. But for the initial warm-up gigs, we might actually do some here.
Sounds like a good idea. And what gear are you using at the moment? What's your bass and your amp that you're using?
Well, I've got my Fender Precision, which is my baby. It's an active bass. It's called a Fender Light. It's light in weight because I'm quite small. But it is a long scale neck. It's absolutely beautiful. It's being repaired at the moment, so I've been using an Ibanez bass for the recording, which is also a very nice bass as well. So amplification at the moment, obviously I'm recording and rehearsing, so it's not really relevant, but once we start gigging I'll be using Ampeg.
What's special about Ampeg for you?
For me, Ampeg gives me that rock sound. It's very clear, it's not too bassy, and it's a sort of retro rock sound. I love it.
Fantastic. What would you say was your highlight of your career to date?
Oh, the highlight of my career to date was doing the Reading Festival in '82 and getting signed to A&M Records that day. And as soon as we came off stage, the deal was done, and that was the most exciting day, really, of my career with Early Rock Goddess. With Girlschool, I think it was recording the 21st anniversary album, Kelly. That was quite an amazing time, and touring with Black Sabbath as well.
Well, Tracy Lamb, it's been fantastic talking to you. Thank you for joining us on Castle Radio FM, and hope to see Rock Goddess playing over here in Spain quite soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Robin. You definitely will.
You're listening to Castle Radio FM from Manila.